Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the next installment in this video series. It's going to be centered around a Lucanian ox. Lucanian ox. You've probably never heard of a Lucanian ox, and you never will again because they are extinct. And we're going to have to give some background here. And this is quite complicated, quite convoluted, and I'm not so sure that I'm going to be really good at presenting this the way that it should be presented to be comprehended correctly. So, a friend of mine was visiting here from California, Zarin, and he had found online an interview with Scott Walter of History Channel fame, America Unearthed. And Scott Walter had said, "Oh, don't forget what Barry Fell said about Burroughs Cave artifacts." And we're going to look at that. And we're going to look at the controversy surrounding a particular artifact. Actually, a series of artifacts. One from Cuenca, Ecuador, and 5 others, I guess I counted 5 others, from Marion County, Illinois. This is transcontinental stuff, isn't it? So, this was pretty hard to put together, and it concerns an ancient elephant, the Lucanian ox, and how this came about. In about 280 BC, Paris of Epirus, king of the Molossians, entered southern Italy at a town called Lucania. And these Romans, the Roman Republic was coming down there, killing some of the Greek people, and they cried out to Paris to come here and help them and help save them. You may have heard of the Pyrrhic War. Okay, Pyrrhic War means you won the battle, but you lost the war. So anyway, Paris came into Lucania, the town of Lucania, right in the soul of Italy. And he brought with him several Punic elephants. And the Punic elephant, or the North African elephant, was quite small, much smaller than your African or the Indian elephants. They were only like 7.5, 8 feet tall at the shoulder, which means to me that they probably didn't eat as much, didn't poop or pee as much, probably load them on the ships a whole lot easier. And they could have been more nimble, a little bit faster, quicker afoot, as opposed to a medium-sized dog or a large dog. They probably were faster, and they were used in combat, offense and defense. And this surrounds the discovery of Father Crespi down in Cuenca, Ecuador. Father Crespi had a massive collection of artifacts, some large, some small, and there were many of his pieces that were fascinating, and there were a lot of them that were suspicious as well. And what we're going to see is how Paul Shafranca, my colleague, deciphered a tablet that nobody else could figure out. They were all looking for the word elephant in this inscription. And now what the fascination was with the Punic elephant, I'm not so sure. And I'm not so sure why they would have, the ancients would have carved so many of these tablets showing the North African elephant, the Punic elephant. But Shafranca translated the stone as the Punic elephant is abundant where it is humid. Okay? And all the experts, well, like Barry Fell, they were looking for the word elephant somewhere on the tablet, but it wasn't there. And Barry Fell and his cohorts, they didn't know enough about history to know or to look for the word Luca, Lucanian ox. that was the first time the Italians had ever seen, or the Romans had ever seen, an elephant, most likely, especially on Italian soil. So that's where Shafranca shines. His brilliancy in history helps to decipher the stones. You have to have a background in history in order to get stones accurate. And we're going to cover this. This Lucanian ox is going to be the most popular extinct elephant ever. Trust me, trust me. And we're going to get into the controversy, and we're going to look at several tablets of the Lucanian ox. What is a Lucanian ox? It is a Punic elephant. And the Punic elephant, hey buddy, the Punic elephant became extinct like in the 4th century AD, 300s. We're not real sure, but they aren't around anymore. And it's probably one of the last elephant species to go extinct in modern or contemporary times that we know of. I mean, it's certainly not 2,000 years ago is not contemporary, but that we have recorded history, so to speak. So anyway, we're going to begin with the Mystery Cave of Many Faces book, and we're going to look at some script in that, and then we're going to show the artifact, and then I'm going to go back and give some more history of why so many people thought that these tablets were fake. But what happened? It's kind of twisted, and I hope that we can get there from here. So this is a very difficult video for me to create. And like I say with some of my other stuff, I'm making videos that nobody else on the planet can make. It just ain't going to happen. And this is definitely one. I don't even know if anybody would want to make a video like this. So let's jump in. Thank you. Okay, we're going to dive in with the Mystery Cave of Many Faces book by Russell Burroughs and Fred Reedholm, published in 1992. And this was my introduction to Burroughs Cave, and many others as well. And it was actually copyrighted in 1991. And Fred Reedholm had worked with Russell Burroughs for several months before the book was actually published. And Fred Reedholm had told me that Russell Burroughs had done everything he possibly could to thwart him, to interfere, to cause resistance. Burroughs wasn't answering his calls. Just had so little help, and Burroughs would change his stories and say, no, you can't print that, you can't print this, you can't print that. And that's what Russell Burroughs always did. He always did everything he could to interfere with anyone attempting to work with him or to further his discovery. It just absolute, just a barrier. Did everything he possibly could with everyone, us included. So now let's jump in with page 91. So here we're looking at page 91, chapter 37. The Elephant Stone Brouhaha, beginning in 1986. Here with the summary of various narrators. It begins with chapter 36 and goes these subsequent chapters here. And we're going to discuss things about the Crespi collection. And there were many fascinating artifacts in Father Crespi's collection, and many suspicious artifacts as well. The Crespi collection in Cuenca, Ecuador, contained a stone tablet, a stele, with an elephant at the top and an inscription below. This Cuenca elephant stele apparently disappeared at the death of the collector, Padre Crespi. But before his death, it was photographed by Dr. J. Manson Valentine. And Paul Cheeseman photographed another one, which I'm not sure if it was the same one, another one from Father Crespi's collection. I'm not sure. That's ambiguous. One of these photos was used as an illustration in Mysteries of Forgotten Worlds by Charles Berlitz of Bermuda Triangle fame. The Crespi collection was full of anonymous artifacts. It is a tremendous loss that it was dispersed after Crespi's death. Dr. Barry Fell saw the photo, probably in Berlitz's book, and used the elephant stele as a as an illustrative example in his book, America BC, published in 1976. However, instead of reproducing the photo directly, a ceramicist, Dr. Clyde Keeler, was commissioned to make a ceramic model of the elephant stele based on a drawing of the Valentine photo. This ceramic model served as the basis for the illustration in Fell's book. According to Virginia Horrigan's account in chapter 44, Fell himself was the source of the drawing from which Keeler had worked. So Fell had redrawn what Berlitz had in his book, which we're going to look at. Fell believed the Cuenca elephant stele contained an inscription in a script, Iberic, and language which he could translate, and he thought it should say something about an elephant, which it actually did. He determined that the stele almost said, "The elephant that supports the earth upon the waters and causes it to quake." However, one of the letters, an upright backwards Z, was wrong for this reading. It should instead have been a lazy backwards Z. Fell concluded that the original artist had made an error of the inscription, and he corrected it, which Fell had done on other pieces too. Okay, that's why you couldn't believe anything he ever translated, whatever. His drawing with the correction was the one given to Keeler, and the illustration made from Keeler's ceramic model was the one published in America BC. Later in the same year, Fell published a retraction of this illustration. He goes, "Oh yeah, okay, I screwed up, I made a boo-boo, and I'm going to correct it now." In the Journal of NERA, New England Antiquities Research Association. This retraction featured a drawing of the elephant stele with the original lettering, including the upright backwards Z. Okay, now let's jump over to page 94. Page 94. From this date, Fell apparently believed that the inscription on the Cuenca elephant stele was correct. Indeed, was the only possible correct form. So he changed his mind completely. In 1986, Virginia Horrigan sent Fell some copies of photos she'd taken of Burroughs Cave artifacts. Among these was a photo of a stele remarkably like the one from Cuenca. It too had an elephant, and the inscription was very similar. In fact, the lettering on the Burroughs Cave stone was almost identical to the version published in America BC with the lazy backwards Z and all. There are several possible reactions to this. Fell's was that the lazy Z was an error. Okay, the inscription would never have been written that way. Therefore, the Burroughs Cave stone was a fake. And it was a fake copied from the illustration in America BC. And it was done by someone who saw his book but was unaware of his subsequent retraction in the journal. And if the elephant stone from Burroughs Cave was a fake, everything else from the cave was a fake, probably manufactured by Burroughs, which is why I'm doing this, because Scott Walter made the same claim that Burroughs did. This was especially easy to conclude because none of the other inscriptions in Horrigan's photos seemed to make sense to Fell. They appeared to be gibberish, but I thought he didn't know. Fell informed his opinion in 1986. He has not since deviated from it. Burroughs, on the other hand, says that there are other elephant stelae in the cave, some with a lazy Z and some with an upright Z, which is true. And he thinks he knows of several others carved on cliff faces, which is false. Absolutely a bogus statement. Burroughs does not pretend to be able to translate any inscriptions. He just knows that both variants exist. So this begins our journey, and now we're going to start looking at some of these pieces. Now I'm showing you the artifact in question. I took this picture down in Columbus, Georgia, back in 1994. It's part of the Isaac collection, Joe Mahan's group. You see the sun at the top, and you'll see the elephant here with small ears. This is the catch. The smaller ears was the North African, or what they call the Punic elephant. Okay? And here's your scripted lettering right here. And this is the character involved with the controversy right here. They call this the upright Z. So you can see, and it's about 10 inches. I'll show you a scale here after a while. But just give you some idea of what this artifact is. Okay, this is from the Charles Berlitz book. And it comes from there's several pictures between pages 38 and 39. And this is in the third page. There's a lot of photographs in there, black and white. And it's quite grainy, but you can see the sun at the top here. And here's the outline of the elephant, facing left, of course. And it's got the small ears. And you'll notice the character. You can just about barely see it here, but here's the upright Z right here. Okay. And this was first published in 1972. This is the second printing done in 1973. And scroll on down. And there's another tablet there. And I'm not sure how large this or small this tablet is. I would estimate maybe 6 to 8 inches at the most. And here's the caption at the bottom. Pre-Columbian incised stone found at Cuenca, Ecuador, showing elephants and symbols, which may be writing. Crespi Collection Photo, J. Manson Valentine. Okay. Now this is the tablet, a picture of the tablet that Barry Fell featured in his book, America BC, on page 184, printed in 1976. And you'll notice it's got the sun up here at the top, then the elephant. And here's got what they call the lazy Z. Okay, but all the other characters are pretty much straightforward, the same. And so this was the ceramic replica that Clyde Keeler made in according to Barry Fell's sketched drawing. He wanted Keeler to make a ceramic piece of it, and that's exactly what happened. All right, now let's read the caption at the bottom. The elephant that supports the earth upon the waters and causes it to quake, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. So reads the Libyan inscription on this votive tablet found at Cuenca, Ecuador, and replicated by Dr. Clyde Keeler. See how Barry Fell deflected there? Replicated by Dr. I'll just blame it on Keeler. The Libyan script in the finest style, matching that of King Massini's monument at this place in Tunisia, dates to the latter half of the 3rd century BC, where I don't know where he gets that from. The letters read from left to right and from above downwards. And here he's got his stuff here. Abi is the ancient Libyan and Egyptian word for the African elephant. But, excuse me, but Libya and Egypt, they are in North Africa. So that would either be the North African or the Punic elephant, wouldn't it? Yeah. Some bad wording there. Depicted above in the inscription. Californian tablets, on the other hand, employ the ancient Sanskrit word gaja, used in India even today for the Asiatic elephant, whatever that means. I have no idea what he's talking about. Thus, knowledge of elephants was brought to the New World by voyagers from both East and West, Clyde Keeler and Malcolm D. Pearson. All right, now let's go back to the Mr. Cave Many Faces book. Okay, now we're back in the Mr. Cave Many Faces book on page 92. And you'll see another elephant tablet here. And you've got the elephant facing that way. And you have the upright Z. And then you'll have another one here. And here's the upright Z. And we're going to see where these come from here in a minute. And here down below you'll have these hand drawings. Here's the elephant running. But the script is the same. And here you see the upright Z. And here you see a lazy, or almost a lazy Z. Would that be a half lazy Z? I don't know. But now you can see the similarities. And now let's look at the caption. At the bottom of the page goes, top left, elephant stele from Cuenca, Ecuador, photographed by Dr. Paul Cheeseman. Top right, a copy of it from the Aesop 1990, page 98. Bottom left, sketch of the Ecuador stone, still not accurate. Bottom right, ceramic model of the above made by Dr. Clyde Keeler, published in America, BC by Dr. Fell. Okay, so let's go right back and look at them again. Ecuador, America, BC. Okay, now let's jump up to page 93. And here you have the stone, another elephant stone, with what they call the lazy Z right here. Everything else is pretty much the same. Here's a hand drawing that Virginia Horrigan made here. And this is Warren Dexter's measuring ruler down here. So you can see it's about 10 inches. And that's on page 93 in the Mr. Cave book. And now let's look at the caption at the bottom of the page. And it reads, top left, elephant stele from Burroughs Cave, photographed by Warren Dexter. Top right, drawing by Virginia Horrigan from the Aesop, volume 19. Bottom is a coin from Burroughs Cave, photographed by Russell Burroughs, which it doesn't come in clear. I didn't feature it. So, and there we have it. Now I want to show you some more pictures from different elephant stones. All right, this tablet came from Bev Mosley's collection, as near as I can figure. And since it's got the little hole in the top, I would say it's a little amulet that you could probably wear around your neck. And you'll notice again the small ears on the elephant. He's facing left, of course. As opposed to the Indian elephant and the African elephant, who had very, very large ears. And these elephants were much smaller than the African elephant or the Indian elephant. Those elephants are just huge. Okay, and here's the script, and you have the upright Z character here. Everything else is pretty much the same, wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. Okay, now there was another one of these squared off elephant tablets. I don't have a picture of it, but I remember seeing it, and it didn't have a hole in it. And I don't know how big or small it was. I just saw a picture of it that I don't have, or I can't find it for sure. But there was another one of these that was squared off. Didn't look quite like this. It was more squared. Let's look at another one. Okay, here we're looking at another picture of a different tablet that's pretty much the same thing. You see the elephant up here, sun up here, and here's got the lazy Z. This is the red background, which means it was taken by Virginia Horrigan. And you see with the white in it like this, that means it was from Jack Ward's collection, because he put either powder or simonized wax in them to bring out the inscription, which people, oh, it just ruins it, but you couldn't see them. A lot of them you just could not see without the white enhancement. Okay, let's look at another one. And here's pretty much the same stone that I showed earlier that I took a picture of. And you have the ruler down here showing that it's about maybe 9.5, 10 inches. Probably be about 7 inches tall here. But to give you some idea. And that will conclude this particular segment. Well, now you know the elephant stone brouhaha, the story behind it, and what eventually happened. And one of the stones that was in Joe Mahan's collection, he had like 2 or 3. And one of them was cut up real bad with a Dremel tool. I think I had pictures of it years ago. I showed one to a friend of mine down in Florida. He goes, hey, yeah, let me touch it up with that here Dremel tool. But it is what it is. And instead of exploiting the actual facts and the discovery that could have been significant at the time, Barry Fell chose to just muddy up the waters. And that's what he did. He changed stuff. A lot of his stuff is just garbage, absolute garbage. And instead of taking what we know from South America, Ecuador, and Marion County, Illinois, just right over there, a couple of miles, 4 miles, Cuenca, Ecuador, and Marion County are over 3,000 miles apart. 3,000 miles, and you have the same style of artifacts. It's unbelievable. And if you were to go land, I'm sure it's twice as far. You'd have to cross two bodies of water, the Caribbean and the Gulf of America. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, instead of harping on the fact that they found artifacts in Ecuador or here that matched the artifact in Ecuador, we don't know. It's probably found in the 60s or discovered in the 60s. It was first printed in the early 70s. Well, that was what, over 10 years before Burroughs started looting this tomb. And then it was like in 86 and years after that the artifact was still in limbo until Shafranka came along and deciphered it as the Lucanian ox. Whew. It's a lot to swallow. It's a lot to swallow. And I hope I presented this in good taste. I hope that you understand the issues at hand. And there's more coming. I've got more artifacts to show really soon. And it's going to be fun. And my colleague Paul is still in recovery. He's doing much, much better. And he's going back to his jovial self. He's laughing a lot. He's talking more. And he seems to be on a roll of recovery. So thank you. And we'll see you at next time. Peace out, brothers and sisters. Hey, boy. Speaking of ancient kings, there's Caesar right there. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. You want to play with my cane? Thank you.